Good evening, everybody. Welcome to that fancy new intro. I am upgrading and getting ready for Shelby on Safari 2022. So hopefully you guys are ready to get started because I certainly am. I am so excited to be talking all things dragons tonight. So first and foremost, hello, I am Shelby of Shelby on Safari. Please, please, please let me know if you're watching this on live or on replay by commenting in the chat below. I very much want this to be a multi-way conversation, and I already see my friend Alice is here. Good evening, Alice. I hope you are well. It is an exciting night tonight because, as we do here on Shelby on Safari, I combine my love for animals, pop culture, and history into one. And tonight, my friends, it is a full Shelby on Safari special because we are going to be looking into all three of those things, kind of. You'll see why. So we're talking Pokemon, specifically Druddigon, because today it was released in Pokemon Go. It's always an exciting thing when we get a new Pokemon released in the game. I know I certainly am excited. And it inspired me to talk with you guys tonight about dragons. Woohoo! And specifically, some of the exciting dragon stuff that's in Pokemon. And then later on in the evening, after we discuss some of what you need to be on the lookout for this season of Heritage event in Pokemon Go, and specifically ways that you can get this really cool looking Druddigon Pokemon, we will then be looking into three of my favorite dragon tales from around the world. And one you may have heard of. In fact, a few of my friends that are here in the chat that I can see probably have already heard of. Hello, Crazy LV. Nice to see you representing the Ravenclaw house tonight. But then two of them are a little bit more under the radar. So I'm excited to hear from you guys, maybe some of your favorite dragons. I'm sure Crazy LV, being a fan of Harry Potter, she probably has a preference towards Norbert and the Hungarian Horntails and Ridgebacks. And, what was Norbert? Was he a Hungarian Horntail? Let me know. But anyways, I digress. Let us jump right into the tales of dragons. So, like I said, first off, we are going to be looking into what you can expect in the Dragon Spiral Descent event in Pokemon Go. Specifically, the next few days are going to be really important to get your hands on the Druddigon Pokemon. Ah, look, it's Grace. Hello, Grace. Nice to see you. I don't know why I'm speaking in a funny accent. We're 4 minutes in and I'm already doing accents? Oh boy, it's gonna be a good night. Nice to see. Oh, Chinese Fireball. I knew Crazy LV was gonna be on it. Her and her Harry Potter trivia. In fact, actually, that might be an event to do because I know Alice, I thought I just wiped something on my face, but I'm glad I didn't. Maybe I did. I don't know. Alice, you too are a fan of Harry Potter, and I bet there'd be some fierce Harry Potter trivia going on. I know that typically in Christmas time is when the Harry Potter game rears its head in the form of Trivial Pursuit. I don't know, Crazy LV, if you guys partake in such events as well in your house, but I know Grace certainly doesn't. Hello, Lucky LD. It's nice to see you. Guys, Lucky LD joined me on Friday for the premiere of my, I don't want to say my favorite video, but one of my favorite videos that I've made so far on Spider-Man and how Spider-Man is more like a spider monkey than an actual spider. I know, hot take. Be sure to check it out after this one if you haven't already, because I had a lot of fun making it, and hopefully you guys have had fun watching it. But yes, all right, so let's start dragon talking. Here we go, friends. So, because there's a lot to discuss tonight and a lot of cool tales to discuss. And apologies if it's going to be glitchy tonight because it is quite windy and rainy here in England. So apologies if it keeps glitching in and out, but alas, there we are. So Dragon Spiral Descent is happening in Pokemon Go starting today, actually, earlier this morning at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, December 7th, and lasting until December 12th at 8 p.m., which is Sunday. So be sure to pay very close attention to getting some of these key things done in that short amount of time, because you're going to want to get a Druddigon. And yes, there's my socials. Find me, follow me, yes, all that stuff. Anyways, Druddigon, here we are. Here is the Pokemon, and this is from Pokemon Go themselves, showing Druddigon in front of a cave. And there, my friends, is a clue to some of the tales I will be focusing on, because dragons appear a lot, not just in pop culture, but in folklore throughout the world. And so I specifically chose the dragons that I'm going to share with you based on this cave aspect because it's really important to Druddigon, the Pokemon, as we'll see. So the really exciting aspect about Druddigon and Pokemon Go over these next few days is not just is it a new Pokemon in Pokemon Go, but you also can get the shiny, which is pretty snazzy and actually looks like this. Interesting to note that in the anime, shiny Druddigon made an appearance, and the gym leader Claire actually caught one in the anime, and I was like, what? Like, it was quite interesting to see them showcase a shiny to begin with. They don't refer to it kind of as a shiny, by the way. Shiny is more of a fan kind of applied term, but now Pokemon actually uses it when they reference kind of shinies being released in Pokemon Go, which is interesting. Oh, hello, Katie. Nice to see ya. We're just talking dragons and making our way through what you need to know for the Pokemon Go event that's happening from today until Sunday, but then we'll talk dragons. Because we're talking dragons because Druddigon, surprise, is a dragon type. Now, what is really important, again, to note to catch a Druddigon is that they're not in the wild, but there's a lot of other cool stuff in the wild, like Vulpix. Being surrounded by a bunch of Vulpix. As you can tell, Vulpix is my favorite. Actually, I left my new Vulpix downstairs on the couch. Oh, I'm so excited. I got another Vulpix because I have the Alolan Vulpix, KO, which if you saw my video on Alolan Vulpix, you'll know why I called it KO. But I have my other Vulpix downstairs. That's the Kanto version. So please, if you have a suggestion for what I should name my Vulpix, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think I should call my Cantodian Vulpix, because Ninetales is my favorite. So it needs to be a pretty solid name. So I have a pretty solid team behind me on the chat. I'm sure I can get some fantastic name suggestions. So let them at me, friends. So Druddigon can only be found in 3-star raids and via the collection challenge, which is just kind of catching some of the more common Pokemon that are released at this time, like the Darumaka. I think I'm stuck on getting Dragonair and Sneasel at the moment, but hopefully before Sunday I can, because once you finish the collection challenge, you can then get an encounter with a Druddigon, and it may be shiny, which is super cool. So you can get it via the collection challenge, via the raids, 3-star raids, which are pretty easy to do. And then also you can get one in field research tasks. Now, what I suggest if you are a player of Pokemon Go is save your coins to get this really well discounted, good bargain for money. Well, kind of. For 175 Poke Coins, you can get a event box that has 3 remote raid passes. And so then that way you can be notified of, hey, I'll go do a remote raid and get a Druddigon. Which also, if, by the way, you aren't a part of a group, shout out to the Pokemon Nantwich Club. I am a part of their club on Facebook, but also the group messenger chat, because it was Tim down in Australia who messaged saying, hey guys, I have a Druddigon here. And I was able to get a Druddigon, not just for the first time, but also one from Australia, which is quite cool. So I encourage you to make some friends and be a part of the community because it is fantastic. And thanks, Tim. So Druddigon is appearing in Pokemon Go more commonly until Sunday. So be sure to get some raids and get the collection challenge encounter. Now, let's focus on Druddigon for just a bit before we talk about real-life dragons. Well, at least real-life folklore that surrounds dragons. So Druddigon, surprise, is a dragon type, but they are also known as the cave Pokemon, which again alludes to kind of why I chose the dragons I did, as you'll see. So Druddigon is a bit of a strange one because it's not really known to evolve from any Pokemon, nor does it evolve into any other Pokemon at this point. Who knows? They may change that in the future, as we've seen with some of the other Pokemon. But as of now, this is it. This is Druddigon. And oddly enough, in the Pokedex entry, I'm just realizing the irony. See, friends, this is the joy of doing live streaming. In the Pokedex, it does say that apparently it's never seen flying. But might I show you Exhibit A right there? In the anime, it's flying. Interesting. I bet the Pokedex needs to be updated. But yeah, apparently it's never seen flying. But here we go. Hey, here we go, guys. First evidence of a dragon flying. You saw it here first on Shelby on Safari. Woohoo! Alrighty. Now, what I love, and you guys, if you've seen like the Vulpix video that I alluded to and all the other kind of Pokemon videos, and even here on the live streams, we go into kind of the biology of animals and comparing them to Pokemon. And sometimes we come across some real gems. And Druddigon was one when I was reading through the various different Pokedex entries where it stated that Druddigon warms its body by taking in sunlight with its wings. And if their body temperature lowers, it becomes immobile. And so even though they are cave Pokemon, they are seen to like go out and soak up the sun to help get them mobile, which obviously makes me think of reptiles and my own dragons, my bearded dragons, because they live in Australia, they're used to the heat, and so we do provide them, with the necessary UVB kind of lights and heating and all that kind of aspect. And that's worth a whole other video where we can dive into the different requirements. I know some of you guys in the chat, you guys have tortoises. And so being mindful of providing them with light and, I know with my bearded dragons, they need to be kind of warmed up before they'll even kind of want to eat. For instance, when I, get home, they might be a bit cold and they don't really want to eat. But once you have the light on, or when hopefully, when it gets warmer and we can put them outside, then they'll be a bit more active because they're ectotherms rather than endotherms. And I'm really going to shoot myself here in the foot right now because my very first video here on YouTube is on my bearded dragons and warm-blooded versus cold-blooded. And let me tell you, folks, gee whiz, if you wanted a good laugh at my expense, check out that video. I'm pleased to say that hopefully I have learned a lot in terms of editing, presenting. I shoot myself in the face quite literally with water to demonstrate sweating. Oh yeah, it's a classic YouTube channel video. So I encourage you, if anything, to watch it just to get a laugh, but also to see how far I've come. Don't be too mean in the comments, friends. But yes, so yeah, Druddigon being, needing to warm up to be able to move definitely reminded me of my reptilian friends, specifically my bearded dragons, because obviously the name. I mean, Rexy doesn't quite make a face like this Druddigon, but I'm sure she would if she was angry enough, because she's a fierce little fighter. But anyways, it's Miguel y Tulio. Oh, I wonder if he gave me loaded dice. What a fun film that is. I hope it's one of your favorites, The Road to El Dorado. Grace. Indeed, I could only make a discovery such as that. Yes, you are ever so kind. The art of diversion, eh? What about Kanji? Ooh, Crazy LV coming in with a fantastic name for my Cantonian Vulpix. You did not spell that wrong. Kanto was indeed spelled right. Kanji. Oh, I love it. Yeah, so keep coming at me. Alice, you like Sneasel? Was that a name for my Vulpix or the Pokemon? Oh yeah, Sneasel is it's quite an interesting one. So let's now discuss one last bit of trivia before we go into my top 3 favorite dragon tales, of at least dragons that revolve around caves. So, chat, now is your chance. Tell me, Druddigon's face is harder than what? According to the Pokedex entries, which we can see can be wrong, because apparently Druddigon don't fly. But alas, we know that they kind of can. So, is Druddigon's face, the red bit of his face, is it harder than rock? Option A. Is it harder than steel? Option B. Or is it harder than ice? Let's see. Crazy LV says C. Ice. Anybody else? Anybody else? What do you guys think? I mean, it does look pretty tough, and they do look really fierce and kind of spiky, Is it A, rock, B, steel, or C, ice? I wonder what Miguel Tulio has to say about that. Honest B by G says B, steel. I'll wait for a few more friends to comment what you think. I will say I did put an ironic answer in here as one of the options. just to make me chuckle because I'm a Pokemon trainer by nature. Lucky L says B. Well, friends, I can tell that it is indeed A, harder than rock. Now, I feel really bad because I put a couple pulp culture references kind of in here. So B, steel, it made me think Man of Steel, like Superman. And C, I put ice in to make me chuckle because as a dragon type, they are very weak. I think it's double weakness to ice types. And so I thought that would be ironic. So yeah, me being sad with my little nuggets of joy in there for me. But alas, Dredigan's face is harder than rock. Yes, which makes me think of The Rock, who is Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yes, the voice of Maui. But yeah, I actually watched Jungle Cruise the other day, and I was really impressed by that film as a fan of the ride at Disneyland. And as someone who, I almost really wanted to be a good Jungle Cruise captain at one point because I think that would have been a blast. But it was hard to watch the film and not think of the demigod Maui. I don't know. Like, I feel really bad because he's, fantastic and it's fun to watch him. And I can't wait to see him in Shazam as Black Adam. Oh my gosh. I hopefully won't be thinking of Maui when I see him as the crazy villain, Black Adam. Anyways, I could talk on and on for ages about villains and Marvel and superheroes, but tonight is not that night. Tonight we're talking about the world of dragons, specifically Dredigan, in celebration of Pokemon Go's Dragon Spiral Descent event. So be sure to get your Dredigans now before they become a bit more rare to catch, I presume, after Sunday at 8 p.m. So you can get them in 3-star raids. Be sure to get those raid passes for cheaper in the shop. And also, you may be able to get them as field research task rewards, but also the collection challenge. So get your Dredigans now. I feel like a used car salesman. All right, friends. So for our first dragon, because I'm going to share with you 3 of my favorite dragon tales that revolve around dragons, that revolve around caves, we are going to go to this beautiful, fine part of the world. We are going to Wales. Yay! And I wonder if Sean might watch this later on. My friend Sean lives in Wales, and I'm very jealous. Wales is a beautiful part of the British Isles, and if you ever have the opportunity to visit these fine isles, I highly recommend you go to Wales, specifically Snowdonia, one of the most beautiful places on earth, hands down. And Wales, as you'll see with some of these pictures, it should come as no surprise that the tales of dragons and magic came from this beautiful part of the world because it does feel indeed very magical, very surreal. And so we are going to discuss Wales and the dragon association between Wales, because if you've ever been to Wales or maybe, just know of Wales from pop culture, they have dragons on everything, specifically red dragons. And so we're going to briefly discuss why that is. So it all started back in the day with this Celtic king named Vortigern. And I'm pretty certain as an American, I probably, as I drop everything on my table, probably said that wrong. But Vortigern, we're going to go with it. Say it with confidence, they'll not know the difference. So this guy, he was on the real estate market to build his castle in a nice place. And it made me think of like Cusco, because I know I'm surrounded by people here in the chat who have a fine taste in films. Makes me think of Cusco from Emperor's New Groove, looking for the right hill to build Cuscotopia on. And that's what I imagined when I learned about Vortigern. I felt like he was like Cusco, assessing out all the different hills, like you can see in this picture. Northern Wales is quite hilly. And so, yeah, which hill to build it on? Now, Vortigern liked the look of Dinas Emrys. And this place, well, it might not have been the best place to build a castle on. So apparently a young lad, which depending on some of the stories and who tells it, say could be Merlin. And we'll get to that in just a bit. We'll look more into the mysticism of it. But anyways, long story short, a young boy warned the king, dude, I don't think you should do that because the site of where you're looking at happens to be, and I don't know how the little boy knew this, but I guess that's why we think it might be Merlin. The site you want to build your castle on is right above an underground lake that happens to have 2 dragons in it. probably not your best choice. Find another hill. Build Cuscotopia somewhere else. However, the king was quite determined. He didn't get to go on an adventure like Cusco and meet Pacha to learn the art of, diplomacy. Instead, he was like, nope, I'm going to build it here. Thanks, kid. And so he ordered his men to start the construction of his castle. And some stories say that actually when they would be building and working on this construction, when they put their tools down for the night and finish a bit for the day, they'd go home, relax, come back the next day, and their tools would be gone, and what they had worked on would be destroyed. So you think you would take that as a hint and be like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. No. This guy kept trying, and eventually the poor construction workers found two dragons fighting, as one does. One was red, and the other one was a white dragon. Now, eventually, after much hustle and bustle, and I don't know if flames were involved, maybe it was an ice-type dragon, who knows? But eventually, the red dragon won. Now, this whole tale is a bit interesting, and some of you might be like, dragons aren't real, and ooh, it wasn't Merlin, because that's what you guys sound like, right? But the Merlin tie is a bit more interesting, and I'm going to go into it just a little bit more because it's fascinating. So it was when Vortigern was trying to build his place, and when the workers, like I said, were, finding their tools and their table or their walls kind of destroyed, Vortigern finally, in some tellings of the tale, finally went to go find like a magician and a sorcerer to be like, dude, can you help me out? And that's when sometimes people bring in, hey, it was Merlin who said, I don't think you should, because they advised going this magical route of where like the ground should be sprinkled with the blood of a child born to a human mother and a father from the other world. And it gets very mystical very quick. But at the root of the story, what I found particularly interesting was that nowadays, fast forward quite a few hundred years, in 1945, the site was actually excavated by archaeologists who discovered not only a lake, but the ruins of a fortress dating back to Vortigern's time. And as if that wasn't cool enough, friends, the walls of this fortress all showed signs of having been rebuilt several times. So I don't know about you, but something sounds fishy about that. Either me or that's just a fun coincidence. Because, thinking actually there was evidence of an underground lake, and this parent fortress has been dated to Vortigern's time, and it's been rebuilt multiple times. So could it have been destroyed by dragons? Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was fascinating. And I'd be keen to hear from my friends in the chat who have been to Wales. Like I know Alice has been to Wales many times, specifically to hunt out Joe's ice cream. If you guys knew of that tale, Vortigern and his castle and the red Welsh dragon, let me know. Okay, now Alice has brought up something specifically that was raised in my video from earlier this year, in which I went to Wales and visited a couple of places, including Davy's bakery. Is it a bakery? I don't know, but it's in Swansea and it's on the coast and it's fabulous, but they do Welsh cakes. Now, they sold chocolate chip Welsh cakes, which to me, as someone who really doesn't like raisins and sultanas, I did buy. And I enjoyed them. Anyways, I will leave that there. Lucky LD, you were born on the Year of the Dragon? Oh, fantastic. That's so cool. That sounds really like, Year of the Dragon. I'm Year of the Horse. But yes. You should be honored to be, because dragons are amazing. So let me know. Davies of Mumbles. My bad. See, I can't even say where I got it right. Thank you, Alice. Davies of Mumbles is not a sponsor of Shelby on Safari, but I happily would take the chocolate chip Welsh cakes and I suppose the regular Welsh cakes to divide amongst my friends. Now, a few other bits about our friends, the Red Dragon of Wales, that might be of interesting trivia to you. The first official use of the Red Dragon on the Welsh flag was believed to be at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. Y'all know how I love history, bringing it into the Tudor area. That's right, because the Battle of Bosworth, if you're into your Tudor history, that is where Henry Tudor defeated Richard III and began his reign over England as Henry VII. And so that's believed to be the first official use of the Red Dragon. Now, speaking of monarchy, in 1959, Queen Elizabeth herself declared that only the Red Dragon on a green and white flag should be flown on government buildings in Wales. Now, if you're not familiar with it, so that's Snowdonia. Can't you see why? It's easy to consider why dragons and tales began and evolve around this place, because look how ridiculously epic it is. But here's the Welsh flag for all those of you who may not have seen it. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool how Queenie said that's the flag that will fly on Welsh buildings. Yes, very, very fascinating. Love Wales, and again, highly recommend you go if you haven't already. So we are on to story 2, story dose of dragons of folklore from all over the world that revolve around caves, because that is what we saw. Drudigan is known as the cave Pokemon, and it's a dragon. And, there's so many different really cool dragons across culture. In fact, there's so many amazing ones. When I was looking up the variety of different dragons, a lot of water-based dragons, especially, in Chinese and Japan, there's really cool water-type serpent dragons. And so I wanted to focus more, because Drudigan was the cave Pokemon, on cave particular dragons, which I would be remiss if I didn't tell you the story of the Dragon of Krakow in Poland. And here we go. We're going back in time yet again. Here is an interesting picture in which you can see a terrifying looking dragon emerging from a cave, going after some poor sheep. So, on the river Vistula, there was a village near Wawel Hill in Poland that had a very deep cave nearby. And it was believed and said throughout the village that there was a fierce dragon that lived within. And so no one had actually ventured into this cave. And so the entrance was overgrown, and it looked quite spooky, I imagine, overgrown weeds, all sorts of stuff. And it was like that haunted house in your town where people are like, ooh, don't go there. And you didn't, because people told you not to go there. And so you would think, okay, people would say, there's a fierce dragon inside this cave. I highly recommend you don't go inside. But no. Of course, in this village, there were some young boys who thought, nah, they're just messing with us. There's no real dragon inside there. And the poor elders were like, kids, no, there's a dragon. And if you go wake it up, it's going to cause havoc, and it's going to, destroy a lot of stuff. So don't do it. But oh no, these young boys decided they were better than that. They weren't going to fall for these childish tales. And so what do? That's right. They grab, some fire, and they march down over there, rip away the veggie growth, overgrowth, and all that stuff, and go into the cave. And what do they find? Surprise! A dragon. But it wasn't just kind of, there's a dragon. In this particular story that I read, they walked in, and it was quite dark, and they came across this big kind of scaly wall. And so the kids thought it was a wall at first, but it turned out to be the dragon, because they noticed it breathing. Like, how terrifying would that be to, first of all, go into a really dark cave, but then with only a little torch, and then come across a wall that's breathing and you can hear it. Oh gosh, that'd be so crazy. So these kids went in and they woke up the dragon. And it makes me think of that phrase, don't wake a sleep. Well, I think it's don't wake a sleeping bear, but literally you don't want to wake a sleeping anybody, really. I mean, even waking up a sleeping Maui can lead to devastating consequences. Rita, fire and fury. Indeed. Fire and fury await these children who went in and awoke the sleeping dragon. And so, as the elders foretold, yeah, there was dire consequences for all. And so these kids probably, hopefully, felt really guilty and really remorseful, especially when the dragon, get this, was like, dudes, you woke me up. I'm going to come and take your sheep. So, like, every day this dragon was like, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get some sheep. So, poor little sheep. But apparently, also, the dragon would steal young virgins. So, yeah, so could you imagine being like one of those little boys that woke up this dragon? Most awkward. And eventually the townspeople got really kind of upset because, as one would, either at the boys or at the dragon, or maybe both. And they tried to take matters into their own hands, to no such luck. But luckily, our friends in the village had a little ace up their sleeve in the form of a shoemaker named Crackus. And no, he wasn't Crackers, although he might be Crackers, given by what I'm going to tell you he did next. As a shoemaker, he created this yellowy paste that was made from sulfur. It was really thick, too, and he covered it on some of the sheep. And sacrificial lamb, quite literally, he covered the poor sheep in the sulfur material and said, here you go, dragon, take these sheep. There's nothing suspicious at all with them. And the dragon ate them. Now, my question to the chat, including Rita, who's trying really hard to make me laugh, and Alice is trying really hard as well. Oh no, spoilers. We'll go back to that picture. I want you guys to tell me what you think happened to the dragon after eating the sulfur-pasted sheep. Did the dragon, A, get indigestion? B, run down to the river to drink? C, exploded from the fire within? Or D, all of the above? I realize how terrible this question is because the poor dragon, right? Is just sleeping and then some kids come and wake him up. Dude, I'd be grumpy too, man. I don't know if I'd eat sheep and capture young virgins, but I'd be pretty angry. So let me know in the comments, chat, what you think happened to the poor dragon after all of this. So let's see. We got B, we got A, we got C, E, repented his sins by becoming a vegan. Oh, if only that was the case, Grace. If only that was the case. Well, chat, I'm pleased to say, actually, I'm not pleased to say, it was actually D, all of the above. So the poor dragon, as you can imagine, after eating sulfur-covered sheep, probably had indigestion. And it said that he had a fire within himself. And so the dragon ran down to the nearby river, the Vistula, and drank and tried to quell what was going on inside his poor tummy. And then, unfortunately, there was a big explosion because of the fire within him that caused the dragon to explode. So therefore, D, all of the above for our friend, the dragon. Now, let's go back to this, because this is actually a real place that you can go and visit, and actually is one of the most heavily popular places, as you can imagine, to go visit. Hello? It's my own dragon. Someone's opened the door. Are you going to come in or what? Are you just going to stand there creepy? Come say hi. Oh, it's been a long time since I've been interrupted on one of my live streams. It's actually Maui. Come on, Maui. Come say hi. Oh, he's sitting far off where I can't go get him, behind my surfboard. Well, that's nice of you to join us. So this place is a real place under the city of Krakow. Now, Krakow and Cracus, you might think, hey, that sounds familiar. Well, as no surprise, the village who was quite grumpy that this dragon was killing its sheep and taking its women, they were very pleased what Cracus did and decided to celebrate him and make him the ruler of the village. And eventually, a city grew around the outskirts of the village and around the hill, and the city was then named in his honor, thus becoming Krakow, Poland. So yes. Oh, Katie's back just in time for Maui to interrupt us. So yeah, so this is the cave where you can go visit, and conveniently enough, it is called the Dragon's Den, which I know is a TV show here in England. I don't know if it's actually back home in the States, but it is. Are you going to continue to make the most amount of noise? He's going to knock the surfboard over. But yeah, so you can actually go visit the Dragon's Den, And yeah, take a look at this. Like, no wonder people like associated this place with the dragon and created a tale about it, because yeah, this cave looks fascinating. And you can totally picture, you know, a Pokemon like Druddigon living in a place like this, or a real life dragon. Pretty crazy. So guys, we are now on our way to a very different part of the world for the last tale of a dragon in real life, per se, or at least a dragon-inspired folk tale. Now, this place is on my bucket list to visit for sure. We are going to the land of the Thunder Dragon, also known as Bhutan. Now, back in the day, in about 1206, there's this renowned meditation master guru, Tisbagya Gyari. Yeah, I'm going to butcher that name, but I have the utmost respect for this dude because he was one solid dude and really was a meditation master and did a lot for people and helping them and whatnot. And he was a very influential character. He visited the Nam area of Bhutan because he was given prophetic instruction to do so by his teacher. And the guy listened, and he went to this place to specifically set up a spiritual center. Now, when he was in this area, as one does, he spotted 9 dragons. And as he saw these as he saw these 9 dragons, he obviously tried to approach them. I don't know why he would approach them, but if I saw 9 dragons, actually, I lie. I probably would go and approach them. I'd be like, oh my gosh, how exciting. So Tisbagya approached these 9 dragons, and unfortunately, as he approached, they decided to say bye and flew off. And as they flew off, they triggered a booming clap in the sky. And thus kind of the thunder association happened, because as you can imagine, 9 dragons flying off, I bet that would really create kind of a loud, booming, kind of thunderous clap. And so thus the association between kind of dragons and thunder was born. Now, some people, because this part of the world is absolutely stunning, and we're going to go through some pictures in a bit just to highlight how beautiful it is. And some people say that actually these dragons could also be kind of protectors of Shangri-La, which is, you know, the ironic that Miguel and Tulio actually joined us, because it's similar to the legends of El Dorado. And so I thought that was fascinating, you know, thinking of dragons as protectors, because that comes up quite a lot. And obviously that association with protecting a cave, or maybe even sleeping in a cave. But yeah, that association with Shangri-La was quite cool, especially kind of given the nearby neighbors of Tibet and how they associate kind of the dragon with kind of snow and ice and living in those kind of caved areas near Mount Everest. So interesting correlation there. Now, this flag over here on the screen that you can see is actually the flag of Bhutan, and thus, because it's the land of like the thundering dragons, they're kind of known as dragon people who live in the land of thundering dragons. And so they have, as you guessed it, a dragon on their flag, which I thought was really sweet, especially since we started off with the Welsh dragon. But take a look at this beautiful part of the world. How could you not want to go and visit Bhutan? I mean, how surreal is that? I mean, I know Grace, who's on here as well, is a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, of which I am one as well. And so seeing the beautiful sights, like, it's amazing to think it's a real place. It looks so surreal, and especially those sheer cliffs and the valleys. Like, of course, one would imagine something as powerful and majestic as a dragon flying through here, because why not? I mean, come on. Now, interesting in Bhutan. Oh no, I went back. There's a few things to bring it into the real world and the modern day that I find fascinating about Bhutan. Don't really have much to do about dragons, but because we are talking about Bhutan, I wanted to throw it out here for you. So in Bhutan, there is the highest peak of Gangar Punsum, and this peak is about just under 25,000 feet tall. So it's a pretty big summit, but no one has actually reached the summit of it. This is for a couple of reasons of like political and logistical problems because it's near the Tibetan border. And unfortunately, kind of the peaks within kind of Bhutan were closed to climbers in 1994. And so therefore, no one's ever summited it, which is quite interesting, especially given how close it is to Everest. And, unfortunately, sometimes in the wake of people wanting to accomplish great things, they leave a trail of mess behind them, such as kind of Everest Base Camp and what's being experienced there. So honestly, I can't really blame them for closing to climbers after seeing some of the stuff that's happened at other peaks, but there we have it. Well, the nation itself is quite kind of reserved and protected, which also lends itself quite nicely to the imagination and that lure of wanting to go and explore it, because it seems not a land that time forgot, but a land where time runs differently almost. So they still have a monarchy in Bhutan, and in fact, they're actually well beloved. But linking to the dragon, given the name of the country and how they kind of refer themselves to, it should come as no surprise that the dragon king is the name for their monarch, for the king. And the monarchy has been going for quite some time. And in the past, actually, some of the monarchs have tried to guide the country towards going more a democratic route. But because they love the monarchy so much, they've kind of said, no, we're happy. We like you guys. So that was quite cool to learn. And speaking of kind of time and how it runs a little differently there was actually a dress code to encourage Bhutanese traditions that was implemented in 1989, where the men have to wear, I think it's a robe of sorts, and the women, have a different outfit. And I just think that is so, that would be so amazing to be able to see that and see all the different colors that are involved. And of course, nowadays with, TV and internet being introduced. In fact, they were introduced only recently in 1999. People are, as one might suspect, being influenced by these styles that they're seeing on social media and on the internet and whatnot. But they still kind of only are allowed to really experiment with them in less formal settings, because the dress code to some extent still applies. And so Bhutan just seems like an incredible place full of incredible peaks. I mean, just the Himalayas in general, definitely a place on my bucket list. I don't know about you guys, but they seem absolutely fascinating. And I'd be keen to hear if you guys too want to go to a place like the Himalayas. Let me know in the chat below. Yep, indeed. It did look like an air temple, didn't it, Grace? For sure. The beauty of Bhutan and the Himalayas, definitely a place to go. Which I found out actually, as a yellow personality, my element that I'm more associated with is air, to which I was greatly offended because I'm a waterbender. But I guess I could be an airbender, I suppose. But anyways, for all those of you that are confused, apparently there's a book that describes the 4 different colorway kind of personalities of people: blue, green, red, and yellow. And according to a source that shall not be named, I am the textbook definition of yellow. But yes, definitely something to look into. I'm not at all offended that the book itself is titled Surrounded by Idiots and it's read by someone quite close to me. I won't take that personally, but yeah, just highly amusing. But anyways, what did you guys think about dragons? Have you heard of some of these tales before? I can imagine some of my friends like Alice, who loves Wales and apparently earlier was singing the Welsh national anthem. Maybe you've heard the story of the Red Dragon before, or maybe you haven't. I don't know. Tell me, have you heard of the Krakow dragon, the Dragon's Den over in Poland? Or have you heard of Bhutan and the dragons that inspired very sacred kind of place, the 9 dragons with their thunderous sounds? Tell me, chat. I'd like to know. And as I wrap up, I thought I should remind you, friends, on Pokemon Go to be sure to get your event box, a nice reduced price of 3 remote raid passes. So then that way, hopefully you can get your own scary cave dragon. And remember, guys, the cool thing about this is that they've also released the shiny at the same time. So we don't have to wait years or decades for the shiny version to be released. Alas, it is released now. So be sure to get that event box, join some remote raids. Hopefully you have a cool chat. I love the NanTwitch squad up there. There's people in the raid chat from all over the world hosting raids and helping each other get some pretty cool Pokemon. So definitely, if you can, join a community. It is well worth it. And yeah, I think that's about it for tonight for the dragons. Ooh. Himalayas look epic. Indeed, Lucky L, I agree. Yeah, you should definitely look it up. There's some great documentaries on especially animals like the snow leopard as well, which I highly recommend you check out because the cinematography of that is just stunning. So definitely learn more about the Himalayas for sure. Alice's favorite dragon. Oh, I'm glad you guys. Oh, teach about Crowdcrow already. You already do? Oh, I did. I did tell the tale. Maybe it was when you were away. Yeah, it's quite sad tale, actually, because kids wake up a dragon and then the poor dragon gets exploded from the inside out because of sulfur-covered sheep, thanks to a shoemaker. Yeah. And then they named the town after the shoemaker that blew up the dragon. Ah. Good times, good times. Well, friends, things to look forward to for the rest of December. Like I mentioned, my latest video is on Spider-Man and how he's more like a spider monkey than an actual spider. Be sure to check that out. If you're looking for more Pokemon content, don't fear. Later on in the month, I'll be doing a few more Pokemon animal comparison videos. However, this week, we're taking another page from the history book and folklore bit, and I'm looking into robins, specifically the European robin, and why they are associated with Christmas. And there's a few different tales that associate the robin with Christmas, and so I take a deeper look into it to find out why exactly this cheeky little robin is associated with the holiday. So be sure to join me on Friday evening to learn more about that. But until then, hopefully you guys follow me on Instagram so you know when I'm going live. Next Tuesday, we are looking into the starter Pokemon because it's the Pokemon Community Day Roundup. And so I have a few different ideas for what we may do next Tuesday night. So hopefully I'll see you here to talk more Pokemon stuff. But until then, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see y'all later, alligators. Bye!